Hello, I'm Jonathan Shimko, President of the American Society of Civil Engineers, Pittsburgh section. I'm here with Sam Shamsi, the Region 2 recipient of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. Many of us know Sam. I've had the privilege of knowing Sam for many years. We've worked together on business pursuits professionally. I've had the privilege of sitting next to Sam during board meetings as his president-elect when Sam was the president of the Pittsburgh section. So we have a great history. I've learned a lot from Sam throughout the years. He's a doctor, a teacher, a mentor, and I'm blessed to know him. And I'm just here with Sam. We're going to talk about his achievements, his career, and hopefully pique everyone in our membership's interest in Sam's exploits, and we'll all see why Sam was deserving of this Lifetime Achievement Award. So with that, hi, Sam. Thanks for spending.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for the introduction.
You're very welcome. Like I said, we've been friends for a while, and I'm excited to do this. So, Sam, like you said, I received an announcement that you had received the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award from Region 2. I think you were the first person I told. Who was the first person that you told when you won this award?
Well, it was not one person. There were 5 people in my family, and I just sent them a group text. So they were all notified at the same time. I didn't have to call them separately, thanks to technology. But yeah, it was my family.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of technology, that's what I was thinking. Sending a text now. 20 years ago, you'd have to get on a phone chain.
I know it would have taken half of your day to inform everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the joy of the modern age. So, backing up a little bit, then, Sam, why did you choose civil engineering as a profession?
Well, as a child, I was fascinated by construction and dams, and I would visit construction sites and spend hours there. That was my favorite pastime. On top of it, my favorite uncles, one of my favorite uncles, I had 7 uncles. He was a civil engineer, and I kind of thought, he's pretty successful, he's a cool guy, and I started paying attention to, his profession. And last but not least, I got a college scholarship to one of the best civil engineering programs in the country. So 4 reasons.
Yeah,
that's how I became a civil engineer.
Yeah, well, that's great. You mentioned your uncle, and that's a good segue into the next question, which is who do you look up to in your profession or throughout your career?
Well, I would have to say that will be my dissertation advisor. They are also called PhD advisor. His name is Dr. Raphael Quimpo, and of course, Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, University of Pittsburgh. Now, why I look up to him is because I came to Pittsburgh as a foreign student. And there were times when I found lost and confused. And Dr. Quimpo was very helpful. He guided me through everything that I didn't know, including the career advice later on in my final year. He was like a father figure to me. And whether it was a personal advice or professional advice, I called him. And sometimes I still do.
Well, that's great to have that kind of long relationship with someone. So, Sam, you've been in the industry for a while. What do you think is the highlighting achievement of your career? What's the pinnacle so far?
Well, I think that will be the 2 books that I have published. They were both on GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. And one of them was actually with ASCE Press. American Society of Civil Engineers has their own publishing arm,
Mhm.
and it's not like I had time to write a book. I just thought that industry can use a book on GIS for water, wastewater, and stormwater systems. That's what I was practicing, but there was really no such book out there. And, there was no Google at that time. We are talking early 2000. So in 2006, ASCE Press published my book. It's here actually, if you can see it. And I'm very proud of it. I then wrote another book because another publisher contacted me. But this first book, GIS Tools for Water, Wastewater, and Stormwater Systems, is my highest achievement because I did something that was useful to the industry. And I think that's why it became an ASCE Press bestseller within a week of when it came out.
Excellent. And I must say that that's a coveted book. I remember a number of Three Rivers wet weather programs where that book was a gift for answering a tough trivia question, if I recall.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of, being an author, someone who has given advice, what is the best advice that you've received, either civil engineering advice specifically, or maybe just something more general, more advice on life?
Advice on life. I was a workaholic throughout my career. And for me, I never counted how many hours I work a week. So it was just work, work, and work. And eventually I got exhausted. I was feeling a work fatigue. So two of my former bosses said, Sam, why don't you try a public service career? And I said, wow, it looks like you were reading my mind. It's a great idea. So that was the best piece of advice, to switch my career from consulting engineering in the private sector to a public service career. So I've been to Allegheny County Health Department, and these days I'm with Allegheny County Sanitary Authority, or ALCASAN, and they are doing a historic project. And ALCASAN was one of my first projects after I graduated from Pitt. And I find myself very fortunate that now the work we started 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it's all now coming to fruition. We did planning and modeling and GIS and everything, and now we are building things. And I'm part of that team. So that advice to have a better work-life balance came from two of my former bosses, but as a side benefit, I got reconnected to the project that I started after college.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think we're common in that regard. My first job when I moved to Pittsburgh was to start studying, the water basins here for the ALCASAN sewer seds to start this wet weather program back in 2017 or 2007. So, we're 14 years into that program in my experience, and it's exciting to see where it's come and where it's going. So I'm happy that you're part of that team, Sam, and have contributed so much to it. Speaking of public health and public safety, something that ALCASAN holds near and dear. What do you wish the general public knew about civil engineering? Maybe they don't know.
Exactly that. I mean, that is a perfect segue into your next question.
Yeah.
Because as you reiterated, public health and safety at ALCASAN, well, that's the first canon of ASCE Code of Ethics. It says, first and foremost, protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So I believe that civil engineers save lives. And I think general public, I don't know if they know this or not. We have done a very good job with promoting the infrastructure needs, which are in trillions of dollars. And I think ASC has done a tremendous job in bringing that to the forefront. But another thing that I started to wonder is, like when I was a child, before I was impressed with my uncle who was a civil engineer, I thought I should be a doctor, right? And doctors save life after you go to the hospital. I think civil engineers save life before people go to a hospital. Now ask me how.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's great, and I agree. I think
we provide clean water. We build infrastructure, which can withstand natural disasters. Dams, do not break from floods, and buildings do not just collapse from earthquakes. So I think we save lives, and I wish everybody would know that.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I don't know how to promote it better, but yeah, you said it very well. I think normally civil engineers don't get recognized unless there's something goes wrong, and it's a rarity. There's so much out of sight, out of mind that civil engineers do, because most of the things that we build are either below ground or are monolithic structures that are just huge and of a scale that people don't comprehend. And it's hard for many people to understand how complex some of the simple things that everyone takes for granted are. And
absolutely, you're right.
Thank you. Speaking of large projects and things like that, personally, Sam, what throughout your career, what is something that has been most challenging to you? Maybe most challenging as a project, or challenging from a student's perspective?
Well, because we have limited time, so I will just say that the most challenging thing in my career has been 2020, the COVID year. Yeah. When I was president last year, I had to deal with COVID affecting our activities and events only for 3 months. Now, you have been doing that for your entire term. Yeah. But even trying to figure out how do we go about our routine activities and events. ASC Pittsburgh usually has 3 to 4 events, every month. And we had to figure out, there was no option that we just shut down ASC Pittsburgh and do nothing. So I think you were very creative, and the section people, the GI Institute, for example, they had the maximum attendance in their first virtual seminar they offered, like close to 300 people attended that. So I think that was very challenging. And other than that, I just miss the personal meetings. I miss the human touch. And when was the last time you and I met, I think it was February, our E-Week banquet, when you and I were in the same room. So I miss those kind of things.
Yeah, I miss them a lot too. And Sam, I wish I can't wait to see you again, because I have your past president's pin that I still can't wait to give you. And so it has been that long that I've been carrying this pin around for you. I'm just waiting till the next time I see you.
Thank you.
Yep. And don't worry. Yeah, hopefully it's soon. I think there's hope on the horizon. I think we're gonna.
We're very close to it. Yeah, me too. I think by fall we should be okay.
Yeah. So Sam, as a past president, speaking with a current president, and my term, it's surprising, but my term is in its twilight. I only have a handful of months left in my term before I hand the baton off to Aaron. As a society, the American Society of Civil Engineers, as a whole, or even as a Pittsburgh section, what do you think the society or the chapter can do better to help our members? What should we focus on? Yeah.
Well, if I had unlimited amount of time, I will start talking about my SMART goals, but I won't. I will just say that we can do a little bit better with our student chapters because students are our future. You know, we can energize young members a little bit better. I mean, this is very unique at ASCE. No other professional organization has these student chapters. So we have the organizational structure in place. All we have to do is do a few things differently to maximize student participation. Remember, they are our future. Now, this is a, may sound like a ridiculous idea, but, maybe one of the students should be in our boardroom, a board member. We don't have that yet. So, I think I would focus on students a little bit better. Not that we don't focus on them, just do the things differently. Maybe do the meetings at some other time instead of first thing in the morning when the student community is available to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Sam, and I think there is improvement there. I think we've had incremental improvement, but definitely a ways to go. And I think the society's been struggling with that as well, especially the transition from students to professional. And I think that's an area I've been trying to focus on, is that bridge between student and professional. And I agree wholeheartedly with you on that, because students are the future. And so we just segued perfectly into the next question as well, Sam. We've talked about the past, and we've talked about what we're doing recently. So get out your crystal ball, and what do you think the future of civil engineering holds in the next 5 years, the next decade?
I think the future looks bright. Things look a little hazy right now, but as I said, by fall, we should be back to, the normal events and everything. I think the vaccination campaign is doing really well. They are saying summer, I'm just being, more cautious about that. Civil engineers are taught to design everything conservatively. I think by fall, we should be fine, but here are my predictions. In 5 years, a lot more civil engineers will be working from home by choice, not because of COVID, because that part has worked so well. Both the employees and the employers see nothing wrong with that. So a lot more civil engineers electively work from home. In 10 years, I can see a lot more women engineers into our profession. When I started my career in civil engineering classes, there were 3 to 5 women students in a room of 50 male students. That has definitely changed. But I think in the workplace, we will see a much larger number. And in 10 years, I already talked about 10 years. In 50 years or 2070, this is not my prediction, this is ASC Society's prediction, we will be building future cities, like floating cities in the water. And if you want to learn more about it, not the other people who are watching this interview, there's a website, futureworldvision.org. If you have never been there, go ahead and see where we'll be in 50 years.
Yeah, it's a great site. Thanks for bringing that up. The Future World Vision is an ambitious program by ASCE that I don't know if a lot of our members know about. It's a pretty high production value effort to go out there and really look at the future and what we're capable of doing. And some of it looks really far-fetched, but when you start to look at it incrementally, it really is not. We've come so far in a short period of time that the growth curve, is exciting. It's very exciting.
Show it to your children. If you want them to become civil engineers and they have no interest in our profession, show them some of the videos they have.
Yep.
And if you have, VR goggles, then they will appreciate it even better.
I agree. I just rewatched Dream Big not too long ago, sometime during the pandemic, and it still inspires me.
Absolutely, yes.
Yep.
One of my favorite movies too.
Yeah. So Sam, I only have one question left, and before we close this interview, and that is who do you? The floor is yours. Who would you like to thank?
Well, my parents, always thank them for everything you achieve in life. They are not alive, but they are in my memories, they're in my heart. I don't know if you can see the picture of my dad. I always keep it there, right there. He's my father. Um, so, yeah, thankful to my parents, thankful to Section, ASC Pittsburgh. Jonathan, I am what I am because of ASC Pittsburgh. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not mention our section member and Region 2 Governor, Angela Meyer, for nominating me for this award.
Excellent.
Thanks, Angela.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. And Sam, thanks so much for taking some time today to speak with me and just sit and allow me to pry a little bit and to share a little bit of yourself to our members. It was really a pleasure. I definitely learned a little bit more about you, and I'm glad to call you a friend and a colleague.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're very welcome. So in closing, everyone, thanks to Sam again for his time, the 2020 Region 2 recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations, Sam, and thanks again for all you've done for ASCE and the region of Pittsburgh.